Our mics are hot. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Game Talks Live. My name is Keith.
My name is Will.
And Will can be seen on his webcam on the show. Very exciting things going on there. I'm happy about it. Truly.
Likewise.
I'm truly joyous over it. He can't see me, but you can, and that's what counts, because this is Game Talks Live. Will's got a mug full of stuff. Who knows what it is. I've got a computer screen and a stream going. This is Game Talks Live. This is where Will and I get together, and we talk about video game news. We talk about the games we've been playing, and we have a few rants, take a few hot takes, maybe a few cold takes, and do some different just taking the world as we see it and giving it to you. Is that an accurate description of what we do, Will?
I'd say so, yeah.
Okay, cool. How do you feel being on your first, not your first, because we had the first test one, and then you spent the next Game Talk in chat. And so now this is kind of the setup we'll probably maintain into the future. How does it feel for you?
It feels good, Keith. It feels good. I might have to get used to it. I'm used to, being at our desk at the studio.
Of course.
But yeah, this is gonna be fun.
There's a certain quality to being live that is just I enjoy.
Yeah, it's a little bit disorienting for me because I'm watching the stream and I'm seeing us like our lips are not moving to when I'm hearing you.
Yes, that is. So that can mess things up. We're going to test it. We're going to have a good time tonight. We're going to discuss some things. It's going to be a lot more fun, I think. We've already got some folks coming into the stream. We appreciate you. I'm assuming our boy Kevin, friend of the show, Kevin Maccabee, is coming in here. I'm assuming we're probably going to need to mod him pretty soon.
There he is.
Shadowlinks87 is also. He was here earlier. I'm assuming he probably remains. I hung out with Shadowlinks a lot this morning, so I appreciate him being there. I don't know when the man sleeps, Will. I don't know if he sleeps. I don't know what kind of. I mean, he is one of the most wholesome people I've ever met on the internet. It might just be all the kindness that keeps him going. I don't know, but he is a saint of a man, based on what I know about him. But we can't talk about. We can't talk about. There he is. Yo 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 in the chat. We can't talk about Shadowlinks all night, though I believe I could after experiencing him for several hours this morning. We have to do what's called some updates from our show last week. I think I ended the show last week. I was very stressed with the show last week because I was kind of doing it by myself. I was very stressed. And at the end of the show, I laid in my bed before going to sleep, and I was looking up more stuff about Spider-Man because I felt it was a pretty weak portion of the show last week. And of course, everything I said was wrong. So, real quick update about Spider-Man. He is no longer in the MCU. Spider-Man will not be in the MCU anymore because Sony is going to be producing those any future Spider-Man movies without the help of Disney because of a deal that went wrong. Thank you, Shadowlinks. Appreciate you. So, Will, what do you think about that?
It's really weird to me. I don't see how they can continue with that same Spider-Man and that same established lore if they can't reference any of the stuff, because all the other movies he's been in were part of the MCU.
Yes, I
So I
truly.
almost feel like they almost have to reboot it again or something. I don't know. I just don't see how they can convincingly pull off the landing.
There's been a lot of memes about like Sony rubbing their hands together about how they're going to kill Uncle Ben this time in the next origin story. But we're going to move on from that. Just quick update. I was completely wrong last week. Spider-Man is no longer a part of the MCU. Based on what I know now, Sony has him completely. So we ought to be worried about Tom Holland's Spider-Man. We have reason to be worried. Moving on, Will, you have an update for us from not last week, but from many weeks ago when we discussed on a past Game Talk.
It was a little bit of a throwaway joke that we did. We clowned on our boy Pro Jared. I don't want to say our boy, but we clowned on Pro Jared a little bit. And Pro Jared has clapped back with a little bit of a response. He showed up with some receipts.
So would you mind explaining just very briefly Pro Jared and his thing?
Yeah. It was started out as an infidelity scandal with him and his wife, now ex-wife, that then spiraled out of control into a bunch of like allegations of Pro Jared interacting inappropriately with underage fans, a bunch of that kind of stuff. And he's clapped back with some receipts that kind of show that it seems like he was not that's not what transpired. The whole relationship angle with him and his ex still seems a little foggy. I don't really want to comment on that aspect, but it does seem like he's not as straight up villainous as we were originally led to believe. And I would just like to, apologize to Pro Jared from our 4-viewer Twitch stream and just let him know that I'm really sorry that we brought all that bad press on him.
We come formally with hat in hand saying, Pro Jared, we apologize. Your name seems to be cleared, and thus we would like to clear our names from having made fun at the expense of your infidelity, which is exactly what we did. Or at least your alleged infidelity. So we appreciate that. Real quick, from Shadowlinks, he asked, do you think there might be one more movie with him in the MCU? So talking about Spider-Man, like what if they already started filming already? The fact that this deal fell through, it makes me think that that's not out there. I don't think that they would have had time to complete another Spider-Man film after Far From Home before now. So my opinion is probably no more Spider-Man in the MCU. And there's probably not anything we don't know about. Shadowlinks doesn't care for the reboots. I'm truly afraid, Shadowlinks, that you're going to have to be watching a reboot pretty soon. And there are people who hurt worse than I do, but Spider-Man is my absolute favorite superhero, and it just hurts my heart to see him jerked around this way. You can jerk around anybody else, but it seems like Spider-Man has earned a spot somewhere. And then finally, Shadowlink says he trusts it. Disney doesn't need to have their hand in everything. So now we can get a Venom Spider-Man film, which will be probably cool if we can pull that off.
That's true. And just those two little chat messages from Shadowlinks, I see him going through two of the phases of grieving right there. He starts off bargaining. He's bargaining, and we come to acceptance at the end.
Yeah, absolutely.
And look at the bright side. So that's what we got to do. We got to look on the bright side.
Absolutely. Okay, so now it is time, without any sort of interlude, but I would like to try to give myself the opportunity to edit this properly later on. Now it is time to truly begin our show with our first news story, I guess, of the week. So let's talk a little bit about our upcoming Nintendo game, Astral Chain. Will, you brought this up earlier. What do you want to say about Astral Chain this evening?
I just want to say, Keith, that your hype has paid off because it looks like everybody's loving it.
It has. It has paid off.
This like it kind of surprised me when you said that this was one of the big games you were looking forward to for the Switch this year, and it looks like you put your chips in the right corner.
It seems like it.
So,
I very rarely bet on the right thing, but it truly surprised me that I was excited for this. Even looking at it, even when I look at this game played, when I watch a review or whatever, I look at it and then I look into the mirror that I keep handy wherever I am, and I say, "Do you want this anime thing, Keith? Do you want this Japanese anime thing? Are you sure?" And then I look back at myself and I say, "I think I do." And that's kind of the thing that I go through with this game. I had no idea I'd want it, but there's something about police baton and demons that just really sings to me in a strange way.
yeah, it does look like it's got a lot of that kinetic joy, which I'm all about, Keith.
Yes, kinetic joy is a big Tank Media. We've discussed this before. I think maybe last week, but we've got 2 days and 1 hour till the game's release. Metacritic score of 88. That's bright green. That's no ifs, ands, or buts about it.
That's Sekiro caliber.
That's a Sekiro caliber game. One thing we want to hear from you, Chatteroony, is what are you feeling about this game? I know Shadowlinks and I have discussed it in stream a little bit. It may be the fact that I'm playing God of War that's got me hyped for this other action game that looks like you're doing the same thing. You're beating up bad boys in arenas, which is what God of War is all about. So I don't know if that's why I'm really into it right now, but I can't wait these 2 days, 1 hour, 27 minutes, and 50 seconds. I'm very excited. I'd love to hear what chat has to think. But Will, are you hyped on this game yet, or do you still have a ways to go?
This is one of those games that I'm probably gonna just try and snag as like a birthday present from someone. If someone,
Okay.
you know, if someone really wants to buy me a video game, or if I happen to stumble across like an eShop card or something,
Sure.
because like we got Link's Awakening coming out.
Oh yeah.
Next month.
That's $60.
We got Pokemon coming up. That's $120 in both versions.
Well, please.
We'll see. And then Dragon Quest 11 has come onto my radar, which we will talk about a little bit later.
Yeah.
There's just a lot of games that I gotta buy right now, and I look at Astral Chain and I kind of just want Bayonetta 3. I don't know. I don't know what it is.
I've said this, I feel like, on every game talk so far because we've discussed it, but I just can't play Bayonetta. I just don't think I want to do it. And I feel like
Fair
a
enough.
weird sexist person, and it's not a sexist thing. I'm all about strong female characters. I loved Horizon Zero Dawn. It's just something about, like, you walk the line of, like, I don't want to play as a skinny lady in high heels.
Yeah.
I am sexist.
I feel you. It took me a while to get into to really give Bayonetta an honest to God shot too.
And I really probably need to give it that honest to God shot. I need to stop talking about it and do something. Shadowlinks.
Astral Chain's gonna be your foot in the door.
Shadowlink says I'm down to check it out. One more game from my Switch collection. Link's Awakening will be my life for a bit though. And then Shadowlinks is concerned with, is there too much boobies in Bayonetta? We're not going to have this discussion again. I feel like we had it a lot a while back. Let's not have the boobies discussion again. I don't want that to be a Game Talks thing. I feel like we accidentally went there the first time. But maybe that's it. But Astral Chain should be the opening of the door. And also, Shadowlinks opens up a little small can of worms for me, is that the Switch is the only system that I do just want to have games on. Like my PlayStation, I'm happy to have whatever games I want to be playing, but I just am very satisfied when I see more squares of games pop up on my Switch.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, it just feels good to have them. Feels good to have them in their arsenal, and that's wrong, I'm sure, but.
Yeah.
So Astral Chain, let's be excited about it. We're gonna try to get Will hyped on it. I'm gonna buy it. I'm gonna be streaming it, I believe, by Monday morning. So Will, I need you to do what now?
I was just gonna say I'll check that out. I want to see a more extended look at it.
Oh yeah, you'll have my full unadulterated opinion very soon. So final question: do you think that Astral Chain could be Nintendo's next big franchise, like next year or within 3 years or 4 years, when Astral Chain, maybe even let's talk 6 years, when Astral Chain 3 has been announced, and we're looking back and we're thinking, man, it used to be Mario and Zelda, but now it's Mario, it's Zelda, and it's Anime Cop number 2 from Astral Chain as the top Nintendo characters.
Yeah, I think that the ball's in their court right now. I mean, critically, it's a hit. It kind of just I think it just is going to come down to whether or not it sells. You know, if the sales back up, how much the critics like it.
Yeah,
Because it's all about that money. It's all about
that's
paper.
true. It truly is. It's all about that paper. It's
Yeah,
all
if the
about
masses come out, if they come out and buy it in droves, then I think it's very possible that we will see a robot dog cop man in Smash in the next Smash game.
Oh,
It could
see,
happen.
I almost don't want that. That's a dystopian future a little bit in my opinion.
Bayonetta's already in there, so
Yeah, that's true. I don't like playing as Bayonetta either in Smash. I feel so bad for saying that.
yeah, that was
Shadowlink says, not sure about being a huge hit yet, but I know anime is huge. That's something that Will and I are both big Easy Allies fans, and if there's one thing I've learned from the Easy Allies, it's always bet on anime. Always bet on it. Because the
those anime games that come out that I'm always like, who buys these? It turns out a lot of people buy
a
those.
lot of people buy these. Like everyone but me. Like
Yeah.
old ladies at my job come up to me and say like, "Hey, have you played Doki Doki Literature Club? Like, have you played these
Not
things?
yet.
Have you played this? Have you played this new anime game?" That's the first anime game that I wouldn't buy that came to my mind. Will, that probably was a bad choice because I think that's like actually a really good one or something.
I've never heard of it.
Okay, all right, cool. Well, that's Astral Chain. Let's. I think we can wrap it up on Astral Chain. Let us know how we're doing with our first regular game night or game talks, show. Will, I guess if you're watching the stream and Kevin's watching the stream and Shadowlinks is watching the stream, it's really just Kevin who's the only person that we haven't heard from in a while. So it's Kevin and Shadowlinks hanging out with us tonight. But hopefully you guys are having a good time and we're learning something together this evening. So next news story, which is another Will-driven brought up thing. Will, talk to me a little bit about the Switch Lite and the previews of this system. I'm going to go to a Google image search of Switch Lite so we can see what we're talking about here. We can do it. Yeah, Kevin, why so quiet, Kevin? Why so quiet, friend of the show, Kev?
Come on, Kevin. So, last week, Nintendo flew out a bunch of influencers and let them try out the Switch Lite. And we've got a bunch of previews coming out. The embargo's been lifted. A bunch of comparison pictures, so you can like see how big it is compared to the OG Switch. And like, Game explained a video of like comparing it to like the original Game Boy and the Game Boy Advance. I guess they just showed up at the press event with a bunch of old handhelds.
Yeah.
And we're like, hey, we're just going to record some size comparisons. Is that cool? But I'm glad they did it because it actually, I don't know, Keith, I don't need it at all. I do not need it at all.
No one does.
But if I woke up tomorrow and had $200 under my pillow, I might pre-order one because they just, I don't know, it really gives me that old school like the original Game Boy Advance, like not the SP, the
I'm with you.
one.
I'm absolutely with you. That's the shape.
Yeah, it reminds me of that, and also apparently the buttons on it, like the face buttons, the X, Y, A, B.
Yeah,
they're not clicky like the Joy-Cons are. They're more like the Pro Controller.
Oh, dude,
so they're like kind of
we need
smushy.
that. We need that.
Everything about how it feels, it just reminds me of like a GBA with like, it seems like it would have the texture of like a DS Lite or something.
So yeah,
I don't know. It just seems really nice.
This is the thing for me. D-pad looks wonderful. Buttons look great. Again, I'm with you. If I had $200 under my pillow tomorrow and I didn't have anything else to do with it, yeah, maybe Switch Lite for me. I think that would be really cool. What makes me sad though is that I won't have. Maybe one day they'll come out with Joy-Cons with buttons that are very similar to these. But I'm almost at my wit's end with those Joy-Con buttons, dude. I got Joy-Con drift on my left Joy-Con. I ordered a new left Joy-Con. No more drift, but on the right side, the B button is kind of weirdly sticky on my new ones.
Oh no. Oh no.
And
Mine are actually. Sorry.
No,
I didn't
you
mean to
go
cut you
ahead.
off.
I was about to say I'm sad.
Oh yeah, mine are not only drifting now, but every Joy-Con I have, it's either drifting or the buttons are just not being extremely responsive. I don't
Mm.
even know if that's included under the drift problems or if I've just discovered a new problem with the Joy-Cons. But like, I'm sitting there playing Smash, and my dashes aren't registering, man. And there's nothing more frustrating
Dear
than
God,
running into someone,
will I
like
say,
running right into them, like I should be doing a dash, but I'm not.
will I say,
So
dear God, I pray this prayer over your Joy Cons this day. Please, Lord, put the spirit back in these cons. Real
that's what
quick,
I'm saying, dude.
Kevin says he had to fix his smart TV. He's watching the stream on. I think I fixed it. It's a big old 55 inch. My man got a 55 inch. You know what I'm saying? How many
Hey, we're
different.
on TV, or Keith, we're on TV.
Woohoo! It's our first time. Except for the times I watch our videos on TV like a fool.
Yeah.
Shadowlink says, how many different versions of the Switch do you think there will be? That's a good question for us. How many different versions of the Switch do you think will come out? He says there were like 5DS and 3DS or 5DS and 3DS versions. Are they grabbing cash? How many versions are we gonna get? Kevin says he keeps losing his Wi-Fi for a second, but then he gets it right back, and that's what Kevin does because he's a friend of the show. He takes care of things.
Oh yeah.
But that question
How many
for you,
versions of the Switch do I think we'll see? Well, are we counting the new increased battery life one as a new model? I don't think we are we?
I wanna clarify and say it's only a new model if it has a new name.
Okay. I can definitely see us getting at least one more guaranteed, like some kind of mid-generational upgrade.
Sure.
I don't think we necessarily need one. I mean, maybe my tune will be different in a few years, but I can see them doing that because they did that with the 3DS even, which I think that's the first time Nintendo's ever done like an actual hardware upgrade within a generation.
Yeah.
But I can definitely see them doing it, especially to compete with the PS5 and Xbox next year. I can totally see them launching like Breath of the Wild 2 with like a Switch Pro.
Yeah.
Um,
I have to agree with you on that. I think the big pro is coming. I think something with some more power. I think something that can run things a little bit quicker, a little bit prettier is coming. Just because I think we got the new generation coming up, and I think they're going to have to keep up in some way. I think people have been spoiled by frame rates and graphics and stuff, and eventually I think it just won't do it. Eventually, everything Nintendo does has got to look like Mario, and it's got to be HD. I think like Mario Odyssey. You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
Like it's got to look that good. That's my opinion. So real quick, so you would say favorable opinions. Maybe we'll get a Switch U or you switch. So you're saying favorable opinions are coming out on the Switch Lite. Despite the fact that it is a seemingly superfluous thing. It's a thing that seems like, well, it's nothing that anyone really needs to have, because the Switch is already portable. It's just like, hey, if you only want the portability, maybe you're a parent and you only want your kid to have the portability, there's no reason to have it on the TV. They don't care about having it on the TV. But even the fact that it's kind of a superfluous extra thing at every turn, favorable reception.
Yeah. Yeah. For what it is, reception is very high.
Yeah.
It kind of reminds me. I was thinking this earlier. It kind of reminds me of like the Game Boy Micro. Do you remember that, Keith? I forgot about it for a while. Do you remember the Game Boy Micro?
No, I don't.
It was after the DS came out, they released a really tiny Game Boy Advance called the Game Boy Micro.
Is it
and
this?
It removed,
Is it this thing?
I can't see it. The stream's a little bit behind.
Oh, but
it's like a rectangle.
Yeah, is it this thing?
Yeah. That is it. And It was a GBA. It was way tinier, and they removed a really big feature from the other models, which was backwards compatibility. So you couldn't play like your Game Boy Color games on.
Oh no.
Yeah, so it kind of reminds me of that in a way.
Okay, I'm a fan of it. I think I'm happy it's out there. They might as well make another one. They might as well make some more money.
Yeah.
I was gonna say something a little bit earlier, but I can't remember exactly what it was now.
Shadow Links. I want to say I completely agree with Shadow Links. I don't quite get frame rates either. You can tell me something's this many frames, and I can't really discern any difference.
I think once you get to a certain level going up, it becomes almost undiscernible. Like if someone tells you, like, I can tell the difference between 150 and 155 frames, like you can tell them to go take a hike because you're stupid. But if someone tells you, like, oh no, 60 looks a lot better than 30, I agree. 60 frames per second looks better. It just looks so much smoother. It's not something I can really describe well, but it's just like I know it when I see it. But I couldn't tell you, like, oh, this is 60 and this is 45 and this is 30. But I might be able to pick out a 60 and a 30 just to look at them.
Yeah.
The PlayStation 4 base one only does 30, so I don't know, Shadowlink's what you're playing God of War on, but I don't have a Pro, so I'm playing on 30 frames per second. It looked kind of like you were playing on 30 frames, but I don't know if you have a Pro or not. But once you get down in the 20s, you're going to notice, or down in the, of course, like 10s, you're going to notice these things. But I don't think the Switch ever drops below 30 unless you have like some lag or whatever, like some real chugging.
Yeah, if I'm ever playing like an N64 game, I can definitely be like, yeah, this frame rate is lower than what I'm used to. But 3060 is kind of hard for me to tell sometimes.
Oh, this is what I wanted to mention earlier. You mentioned the new Switch model that has the new card in it, the new processor. That's going to give if you buy a Switch now and it comes in a red box, it's going to have like twice the battery life, right, of an older Switch. Is it just because I'm an adult and we're adults and we tune into these kind of things, we're interested, or is the gaming industry come to a point where they have to notify us of these things, like people care? Do you think there was ever a time when that wasn't a big deal, like we're just happy to get games, but now, gaming news, well, they put a new processor in a product that's already exists, they're not renaming it, like some backdoor shady thing happened, so we found out about the processor thing early? It just seems almost crazy to me that we think about this, that this is news, that like we're going to freak out over a component that is going in a gaming console, whereas most of the time I'm just like, I want new game, please let me play.
Yeah, I think it's Nintendo comes out and says stuff like that now because they know that like the gaming news industry is so ravenous now that like we're gonna find out anyways. So they just kind of want to like officially put it out there.
Sure.
And so it's coming from the horse's mouth, because Game Explain would have found out immediately whenever if they just tried to slip it into stores.
Right. Yeah. So. Absolutely. That's true. Yeah. It just seems crazy to me. It seems crazy to me that we're talking about it. It seems crazy to me that it's a thing that, I've got a coworker that follows Nintendo. He's like a hawk on Nintendo. And 5 minutes after they announced this new card, new processor going into the Switches, he's like, "Hey, dude, did you hear about this?" I'm like, "Actually, yeah." Like, even someone who doesn't care, I've heard about it because I'm on Twitter and I see this or whatever. So yeah, I actually have heard about it. And like the next day or the day that they hit the shelves, like he's in GameStop, he's in Best Buy trying to get one. I don't care about it that much. I'm interested that it's a thing.
Yeah. He did get one?
Yeah, he does have one.
Oh, nice.
That man is ravenous. He is Nintendo rabid, dude. He is absolutely, and no pun intended, considering Mario Rabbids and the Rabbids on
Nintendo. Yes, I agree with Shadow.
Yeah,
that's why I think we need to lay off Sword and Shield. It's gonna be fun, you guys. It's gonna be fun.
Whoa. Let's calm down, Will. Let's calm down with hot takes like that. Kevin says about 155 grams, you need a high refresh rate monitor to see the difference. I've heard, and current consoles only show 60 frames max and need PC to see more. Oh yeah, absolutely. PC is going to push you over the limits eventually, and that's the whole thing, is that we talk about consoles, but monitors also need to keep up. Like, my monitors aren't going to show me 150 frames per second or whatever. Yeah. My graphics card isn't going to push that far either. Though it is, I think, kind of beefy. I don't know. But we're leaving the Nintendo Switch Lite. Is there anything else you want to discuss about this cute little system that really does look adorable here on the stream? You good to go?
Santa Claus needs to bring me one. That's all.
Man. Also, Will, everyone, don't tell Will, but I did slip $200 under his pillow for tonight, so he'll be getting that new Nintendo Switch Lite tomorrow, and he won't know who to thank. But don't tell him.
Did you say something just now?
No, the wind blew through my room here. I think Lizzie turned on a fan, and it might have made
Okay.
some noise. So
Okay.
other than that,
Yeah. Make sure you correct that ambient noise.
I absolutely will. Nothing to see here. Nothing to see. Yeah, but based on what I just told you about that gift that I was giving to someone that we were talking about, I'm gonna need that money replenished. So if you guys could slide that under my pillow, that'd be great. Um, Next on the list, Will, you ready to move on?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, this is a little story that I wanted to bring up, but so let's get a brief little pause for an edit. Now, continuing Game Talks Live here on this wonderful August 27th. And I mentioned the date because August 27th, I believe, is the date that World of Warcraft Classic comes out. Has come out. So I don't know. Shadowlink's also heard nothing. He just heard that fan noise as well, Will. But World of Warcraft Classic came out today. So it's something, apparently World of Warcraft, they decided to, who's Blizzard is WoW. So Blizzard decides, back in the day, WoW changed the world. We're going to give players a chance to go back and play WoW Classic, the original game. It's been evolving and changing ever since it's been created. Everything has changed, so we're going to go back to Classic WoW, and we're going to let players go back and experience the game the way they once did, or we're going to let new players jump in and experience the game the way they never have before. And the reason I want to bring this up is because, of course, Will and I are very big World of Warcraft players. Nah. We treat it like a drug, like it's heroin. Nah, man,
Hey,
we
man,
don't.
I've seen the South Park episode, dude. I know what can happen.
That's true. Yeah, I have. That's the only episode of South Park that I've watched. I've never watched a lot of South Park, so that's one of the few that I have seen. But we're going to talk about this anyway because I think it's very interesting, and I think it says something about games. I think it says something about the internet. I think it says something about the human spirit.
Human condition.
The human condition. So first of all, this is the headline. World of Warcraft Classic players are queuing for quest items. So I'm going to summarize this. This is an article by Matt Purslow. You can go read this if you want, but I'm going to kind of summarize what's going on. So WoW Classic, World of Warcraft, is reverting back to what it was classically. We've explained that. And people are excited about it. There are thousands and thousands of people around the globe or around the disc if you're a flat earther, that want to play this game, that they want to jump into a server. And of course, anybody who knows anything about online servers for games, especially MMOs, is that there's a limit. There's a limit to how many people can play most of the time, and as technology grows, that limit grows. But there's always a limit to how many people can jump into this game. Also, when the game was built, it was not built originally for the number of people that are now queuing in to get into these games. I saw a GIF on Reddit today that looked like a popular streamer. He was like smiling and was thinking about World of Warcraft, and he turns the camera around to the screen and it says, "You are in queue. It'll be 90 minutes until you play. You're behind 7,800 people to get into this server." That's crazy. That's absolutely crazy. Yeah, if you never played
There's
WoW,
tons of other servers, right?
Yeah, there's more than one. There's more than one.
Okay. But they're all full up.
I think most of them are. Yeah, I think most of them are full. I think you're waiting to play. Probably not all of them. Probably there's some that you can jump into, but the most popular ones, the places where people want to play, are full. Also, anybody in chat, if you've never played World of Warcraft, join the club. Well, I actually have played it. Me and my brother Bryce, we played Warcraft for a little while. I came into his room one day. He said, "I'm playing Warcraft. You want to play?" And I was like, "Sure." He said, "Okay, make a character." So I made a character. And then I was like, "What do I do?" So I'm walking around the city, and I see a guy ride by on like a griffin, like a lion with a bird head and bird wings. And I was like, I'm going to play till I get that. And Bryce said, "Okay." So I played for like 2 weeks on his computer. I got my griffin. I was like level like 10 or, really low. But I got whatever I wanted to get, and I never played it again. But anyway, so the queues are full. The lines are full. But So that's bad. We don't like that. That's not fun. That's not fun for games. That makes me sad to think about. There are people waiting to play this game, but the thread continues in that there are lines inside of the game. So whenever you get into World of Warcraft, like you have these opening quests where everyone's trying to start their new characters over, and you've got these beginning quest tutorial things where it's like, hey, go out there and collect, wolf skins or whatever. Well, the game's not built for 8,000 people to go get the same wolf skins at the same time. It's made for like people to come in periodically, and like, maybe there's 3 people running out there to where the wolves live, or maybe there's 10 people, or maybe there's just 1 person at some time. But there's like hundreds or thousands of people heading to the same forest for the same wolves. And so instead of, yes, Shadow Link's life goal, get the griffin. That's what whenever I get the griffin in real life, that's when I quit. So there are people going to these same places in the world, and instead of causing anarchy, instead of doing what you would think basement dwelling gamers may do, not that all gamers are basement dwellers, but you have this view of like a toxic gamer, just the South Park episode of people playing Warcraft. You have this view, and so instead of causing chaos and like the one guy like level 100 guy or whatever shooting all the wolves before you can get to them, because apparently in classic Warcraft the only way to get credit for killing something is if you hit it first. So you could have people there just completely screwing people over, but instead the Warcraft community has formed lines. They have formed lines to get, there's no picture on here sadly, but they have formed lines.
I want to see this.
They have formed lines to get, there might be one here. They form lines to get the supplies. So there's like, so imagine there's a forest full of wolves. Now there's a line of playable player characters lining up outside of the woods, standing in a line to get their wolf. And not because Warcraft made them, not because Blizzard made them do that, but because the community of people playing the game decided, you know what, we want everybody to get to play, so get in the line. And people who get out of line are punished. People who stay in line, they're allowed to progress. And it's just this crazy, weird thing that I've talked way too long about, but I find it so just enthralling to think about that this is what the internet does.
So there's like vigilante justice. If someone tries to pull a fast one on everyone, they put him in place. They put him in his place.
I don't know what it looks like. I've never played. But but it, based on the articles and stuff that I've read, this is the only one I've seen. But yeah, it seems like people who cut and stuff like that are, I don't know if you can kill them, but they're treated poorly. Whether it's in chat, it's like, hey, you get out of here, or whatever. Oh, Shadow Links too. I don't. And we're gonna get to that in a second when we just discuss it more. But I'm not really into MMOs either. I like story-driven games too. So what do you think about this? What do you think about the internet, Will? Tell me if this interests you at all, the fact that this is how the internet has decided to handle this.
Very much. It's just another one of those little social phenomenons that happens whenever the right elements align on the internet.
Because it is not so far-fetched to me to believe that it could go horribly wrong. It is not so far-fetched to me to believe that people would just grief you to where you don't want to play this game that you love because they got there to the wolves first, Mm-hmm. But that's not what's happening.
I would bet on that being the case 99 times out of 100.
Yeah.
So it's nice that we got this little lightning in a bottle of a scenario.
It's just my eyes light up to think about it. Just the idea of like, just internet people, like that one guy who says like, hey, he's typing in the chat in World of Warcraft. Who knows where he lives? Somewhere across the seas from us. And he types, hey guys, what if we just line up? And everybody's like, yeah, let's line up. And then we can help other people who line up, and we'll just have this big line, and it'll work. It'll be fine. And then it just brings me joy to think that there are people out there in the world that even in this seemingly insignificant, meaningless game, and it's not meaningless, but like, in the grand scheme of things, this game, that people have decided, you know what, even here I'm going to be wholesome. I'm going to try to take care of people, and we're going to form a community that is at least welcoming in certain areas. So I think that's really cool.
Yeah, it's definitely a feel good moment.
So, I'm done talking about that, but I do want to ask the question since neither of us play, MMOs, massively multiplayer online games. Will, what would it take in the next generation, PlayStation 5, Xbox 2, whatever we're going to call it, Xbox One 1000, who knows the name? Um, what is it going to take in the next generation if there are games on console that you want to, MMOs on console? What would it take for someone to get you into an MMO? What would an MMO have to do to get you to play it?
I think honestly, Keith, it would have to Trojan horse me with like a franchise that I already am very invested in.
Okay.
Like they really, if they ever, I mean, I don't know if it'll ever happen, but if there was ever a Pokemon MMO, I mean, I'd be there day one.
What do you think that would
So,
look like? A Pokemon
open,
MMO.
select your region, select your starting town, go through it in any order. Other people could be gym leaders. You can do a lot of stuff with it.
Yeah, dude.
But yeah, honestly, I think that's kind of. Sorry, I was reading chat. I think that's
Yeah,
kind
me
of how
too.
they would have to do it. Honestly, they'd have to Trojan horse me because I mean, nothing about like World of Warcraft. I mean, I'm not really into fantasy stuff in general for the
Yeah,
most part. So World of Warcraft has never spoken to me really on any level, other than just the profound addictive nature that it has. I mean, that's interesting on its own to
sure.
watch from afar. But uh, but yeah, like I said, Shadowlink says involve Kratos. I'm down with that.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
was discussing that with Will, but when we were kind of planning the show out and thinking about what we talk about, my thought would be is just will there in the next generation be an MMO that is capable of immersing me the way God of War does, immersing me the way Spider-Man does, but also putting me in a server with like 30 other Spider-Men in New York. Like doing the same exact thing that I can do, smooth combat, smooth motions, smooth world building and crimes and all these different things talking about Spider-Man. Like everything is that game, but 30 other people are in the room with me or in the city with me at the same time being Spider-Man. Like I don't know if it's possible, but with the next generations, maybe anything is possible. But I think it would have to be something like that to get me in. Because for me, it has the kinetic joy is not there with an MMO. Will if you and you coining the phrase kinetic joy, why don't you explain a little bit about what you mean by that, and maybe that'll help folks understand what I'm talking about.
just it's almost like flow, like the phenomenon of flow. Whenever you just get into that thing where you're not even really thinking about the exact steps you're taking, you're just seeing it as a whole. So like just in like Mario Galaxy, when I'm pressing the buttons, I'm not thinking about it. I'm just doing it, and it feels good.
Mm-hmm.
And the feeling itself is guiding me, not just thinking about the button presses. And
Right.
like, does that make sense?
Yeah, I think it
At
makes
all?
sense. I think it makes sense, and that's what I'm looking for. The kinetic joy is not in there for me in an MMO. It doesn't.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel fun to run. It doesn't feel fun to hit one button and let an attack happen. It doesn't feel fun to like just, press number keys and have big, things happen that I can't really tell what's going on because things are so small. Um, I'm just not into MMOs. But if they can somehow bring the kinetic joy and the joy of being able to meet new people in a welcoming community like World of Warcraft Classic seems to be developing here again, that marriage might be enough to get me to be like, you know what, Final Fantasy 7, 16, you know what, World of Warcraft 4 or 3 or 2 or however they number it or whatever the new expansion is, maybe I'll try ya. Maybe I'll get in. But I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. Like I said, I really think they'd have to Trojan horse me with
Yeah.
with Pokemon. Most likely Pokemon.
Yeah, Kevin
That's like a
says
2040 thing.
yeah, probably. Kevin says there is an MMO that's fan made, it's online and everything. It's called Poke MMO. Look it up.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's like, a ROM hack based on the GBA games. It's not what I'm talking about, Kevin. Kevin, you know
Kevin.
what I'm talking about.
You know what I'm talking about,
No,
Kevin. Do you like to get scolded through
no, but
Twitch, Kevin?
no, but sometimes, like, yeah, we got to take it upon ourselves. Sometimes, Nintendo Game Freaks never made the MMO, so
That's true.
fans did it themselves.
Sometimes we have to do it ourselves. Shadowlink says if some games that have turned into a multiplayer games have failed due to bad experimentation, so I actually don't want God of War to be MMO. Oh yeah, it'd have to be separate. Yeah, I don't want the next Spider-Man game to be an MMO, but maybe like a something like that. Something don't ruin Kratos for me. I got to know what's going on. Well, real quick before we move on to our next segment, I watched Shadow Links 87 play his speed run, which he did very well on. I think for his first speed run, he finished the God of War New Game Plus. He had super powerful Kratos, but it was on easy mode. Finished it in 5.5 hours. I thought that was very impressive.
That is extremely impressive.
uh, and
Totally, you're a madman.
well, yeah, let me tell you how madman this man is. We get to he's skipping cutscenes. I'm thinking we're getting to the end. Surely he'll let us see some cutscenes. We get to the Baldur versus Kratos fight. My man skips the cutscene in front. My man skips all the cutscenes in the middle. I barely get to see Atreus falling through the sky shooting arrows at Baldur while Kratos holds him, and he skips the cutscenes at the back end. And I'm still recovering, dude. I'm still hurt.
He has stuff to do. He has stuff to do, man.
He's right. I'm not saying that I'm mad at Shadow Links. He had to do what he had to do, but it's on me that I watched him do that to me. It's on me that I let him hurt me like that. Kevin says, I think in Poke... Go ahead, Will. Sorry if you're reading that.
Oh, he just says in Poke MMO you can do some DS games now. I gotta look it up again. Been a few years since I last played it. Yeah, I'm gonna check. I'll look up some gameplay of that. It seems like an interesting concept.
Yeah, Shadow Link says that it hurt to skip the cutscenes in God of War. It does. It hurts. I feel sick just thinking about it. And because of that, Will, I don't know if you're ready, but I think we might move on to our probably final news segment of the evening, if you're into it, and then we'll kind of go a little more informal with the conversation.
Yeah.
Also,
yeah.
big.
What is our last?
I want to talk a little bit about Death Stranding here in a minute.
Oh yeah. Okay.
But real quick, as we move along, thanks to everybody who's hanging out. Shadow Links, Kevin, we see a fifth viewer kind of popping in and out most of the evening. I don't know if that's the same person, but I do appreciate you all hanging out. Maybe we can build this into something legit in the future. One thing I want to always have the offer, and I should have done this before, is if you have something you want us to talk about, if you got a news story, if you got something that is on your radar that's just not on ours, let us know in chat. We'll look it up. We'll talk about it if you want. We're not on a time restraint. We can go as long as we want. So we'll do that. All right, Will, you ready to switch gears a little bit?
Yeah.
I'm gonna try to hurt some feelings in a minute. So tonight, I would like to discuss. Shadowlink says, I'm excited for Death Stranding. Too bad Silent Hills didn't work out. Have you played PT? I can answer all those questions in a moment.
I have played PT. Kevin has it on his PS4 because they removed it from the store, so now a PS4 with PT on it is very valuable. And I played it on Kevin's, and I had to use a guide because it's very obtuse, but it was very, very interesting.
So for our next, yes, I have not played Silent Hill, or I'm not sure what we're talking about with Silent Hill. I've not played PT, but I've heard the things that Will just said. So I'm there with that. But for our final news segment, unless somebody tunes in to give us anything extra we want to deal with, we are going to be talking a little bit about Death Stranding. I've got what I believe to be some hot takes, maybe just for the fact that I want to be a contrarian on this issue. I don't know.
I think that's what it is.
You think so? You think I'm just a little bit spicy on it?
I think you're trolling.
Maybe I'm trolling a little bit. Maybe I'm trying to get some people riled up. Real quick disclaimer, I'm not trying to hurt anybody's feelings. I'm not trying to hurt Hideo Kojima's feelings. I know he's an artist. I know he's talented. I know he's earned his spot. But
he's that fifth guy that keeps popping in. So
it's Kojima is hanging out in the stream. Yeah, it probably is. Probably old Hideo himself. Well, tell me what you think about this game. Maybe you'll sway me before I even have to say anything.
I love dystopian future stuff, and I liked the abundance of cutscenes in the one Metal Gear Solid game I played. I thought they were really cool and inventive. So just the idea that it's, post-apocalypse, there's a very cool world that seems to have been established. There's a lot of mystery going on. Um, there's a lot of metaphysical stuff going on with like death being physically represented by this thing called the Death Stranding that is just roaring over the world, and there's just a lot of mystery going on. Like I said, dystopia, America has collapsed, a bunch of stuff just lining up to like really intrigue me about the game. I mean, I still don't know much about the gameplay. I did. There was stuff at Gamescom, wasn't there? If there was, I didn't see it. So, um,
Wait, I'm
gameplay
sorry.
is.
Well, what was that you said about Gamescom?
I said, did they show more of the game at Gamescom? Because if they did, I didn't see it.
They showed a quick thing where Jeff Keighley is in the game, so they showed a little bit of walking around. They showed a peeing mechanic, where Norman Reedus stood up and peed away from the camera. Then his urine created a mushroom. And they showed like 3 introductory cutscenes that kind of introduced us to the story.
That sounds very interesting. I need to watch that.
So this is my comment. This is where I stand. Will, you haven't changed my mind yet. This game does not, at current, based on what we've seen, look fun to me. You know what I mean? It doesn't look interesting. It doesn't not look intriguing. It doesn't not look well made. It doesn't not look like there's stuff that's going to freak me out or make me consider life or whatever in it. But it doesn't look like a fun video game to me. Norman Reedus has walked around the wilderness where you can see very little to nothing around. The world is beautiful, of course, but there's not a lot going on. Twice, it's been revealed to me that he can produce a ladder from his backpack. Twice they've shown me this. If you're going to fight something, we don't really know what. Maybe there's soldiers. You might shoot something. You might not. I don't know. You're doing some exploring. Shadowlink says, "I don't see Bayonetta in it, so you might have some fun." I'm not trying to be a curmudgeon here. I'm just trying to explain someone who's not a Hideo Kojima fan, not because I don't like him, but because I just have never played anything that he's made. This game is being poorly marketed. I'm not saying it's going to be bad, but I think it's being poorly marketed to people who don't know who the heck Hideo Kojima is or why he's good. And I'm sure there's enough people who love Kojima to hit their money back on this game, of course. And people are going to buy it. It's really weird and stuff. But I don't think they're doing a great job of selling me that this is a game that I want to play. Also, I'm kind of frustrated because a lot of times it just feels like they're being obtuse for the sake of being obtuse. They're not explaining things for the sake of saying, like, we have this weird and zany idea that you don't know about. Like, this game is weird because I'm weird because I want to make a weird game, and weird games are the best. And I don't know. It just has that vibe to me. Maybe I'm wrong. Am I wrong, Will? Tell me I'm wrong.
I mean, I don't think you're wrong, Keith. I think that the marketing and everything definitely is a little bit obtuse and weird. But I mean, everything that we've seen about the story from the game is that it's a really weird story too. So I mean, I'm not really disproving you or anything.
No, yeah, I'm not.
But I think.
Yeah, I'm not angry or anything. It's one of those things where I almost feel. I don't want to feel like I've been duped. Like, I feel like I'm being tricked a little bit into saying, like, ooh, don't you want to find out? Don't you want to play this game, even though you don't know anything about how the game is played, just to find out why we have these weird babies? Don't you want to give me $60 to find out why I named someone Mama? Or why I named him Die Hard Man? And it just feels a little bit like I'm being strung along that way. And I could be wrong.
I understand. I think we need to wait till the game comes out, Keith.
I agree.
And,
I agree.
See, I think you should take old Shadowlinks' word.
I will. Well. I'll take his word. I trust Shadowlinks. Shadowlinks has hung out in these streams. He has absolutely earned his trust of mine. And I get that's how Kojima does his thing.
Yeah, and when I played Metal Gear Solid 4, I mean, I didn't even have any clue what was going on, but I still had a great time with it. So,
And see, that's one thing that's an issue for me as well. Is that you're saying you didn't have any clue what was going on. I'm afraid I'm not going to have any
well,
clue what's going on
well,
in this game.
well. The only reason I had no clue what was going on is because I didn't play 1 through 3. Uh,
Yeah,
it's just
maybe
jumped
so.
to 4.
Shadowlinks.
So,
I think my point is not so much. Yeah, and I get that's absolutely what trailers are supposed to do. They're supposed to tease you along and say, "I want to find out what's going on." But these trailers don't show me the game. They just flash a bunch of like this. So far, I know names of characters, and these kind of things. And like I said, I'm trusting you. I just don't think me as a non-Kojima lover so far I don't think I've been served with this advertising campaign. So I'm a little bit upset that no one's thinking about me. Dang it.
I sorry, I was reading through some of the messages I missed.
You're
on
good.
chat.
We missed some. We didn't talk about PT at all. We might need to hang out with that a little second.
Yeah, if you still have PT on your phone. But yeah, Kevin's got PT on his. Do you know what PT is, Keith? It was the Silent Hills playable teaser.
That's why it's called PT. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've heard that it's super scary and that everybody wishes they would have made it.
Yeah, Norman Reedus was in that one, I think, too.
Really?
I think that's like, yeah, because it was Hideo Kojima and Guillermo del Toro were both working on it, I think.
Okay.
And like, he took a lot of the cast from what that was going to end up being and made Death Stranding. At least that's what I seem to think it is.
Okay. I feel you on that. I'm not trying to trash on Kojima or anything. I think I also tend to take offense at people a little bit who like anything a person does. I think I've been burned too many times by like bands and actors and different things. I've been burned so many times, especially with music. Like, oh, I love this band, and then they just put out a crappy album that sucks, but it just sucks. And then you're like, well, I was wrong about that person. They're not that great. And
they're not infallible.
Anytime, like, when that whole Gamescom arena, like, bows down in front of Kojima and everybody's, like, rushing for selfies and stuff, like, can we calm down a little bit? Like, let's... Yeah. We don't know anything about the game, so maybe it's not quite time to, like, sacrifice your children to the man. Yeah.
I feel where you're coming from, Keith. I truly do.
But I know he's talented. I'm excited to see what it's about, but I doubt I'll be buying it. I'll probably just watch somebody play it.
Fair enough.
I'd love to watch you play it.
Shadowlinks seems to be very, very excited about it. We can watch Shadowlinks play it.
Yeah, Shadowlinks. You can come. You can play it. You go play it, and I will come watch you. That's how we'll have to do it.
Oh yeah.
When you're a big time streamer and we're just a lowly little gutter fish. Mm-hmm. Nasty little gutter fish, just slurping up the news funk.
That's because you need to listen to bands like Dream Theater. That sounds like a cool band.
Yeah, never disappoints. Modern music have been a huge hit or miss lately. I feel you, dude. Dream Theater. All right, Kevin, Shadowlinks. You guys got any more news or any more things you want to talk about before we switch gears on this here show? Will, you as well.
Just stream it. I'm ready to talk about what I've been playing, Keith.
I'm ready to hear about it, dude. I'm ready to see if you can change my mind.
Oh, I won't. I'm pretty sure I won't.
We'll see.
But I've been playing the Dragon Quest XI Echoes of an Elusive Age Definitive Edition demo for the Nintendo Switch. That's a mouthful, is it not?
That is. Let's go ahead and get a little quick editing thing for me before we... Shadowlink says he's ready to move on. We're going to assume that Kevin, friend of the show, is ready to move on. So now begins our segment. At the end of our Game Talk shows, after we've had our fun with the news, after we've talked about things coming up, we're going to start our WWBP segment, short for What We've Been Playing. And Will is about to start us off again with the name of a game that he has discovered recently.
I have been playing the demo for Dragon Quest XI Echoes of an Elusive Age Definitive Edition.
That is a mouthful.
Very long title, very long demo for a very long game. Keith, I told you earlier today that I finished the demo in 6 hours. There was actually a dungeon that I had yet to do in the
Dude.
demo. So I actually finished it in 7.5 hours,
Oh, I'm sorry. I
which
need
is
to move on.
longer, which is longer than a lot of games. Um, and from what I hear, the full game's like 70 hours or something. So the demo is like a good 10% of the game, and it's very much a classic JRPG fare. Um, it doesn't seem to be doing a whole lot to switch it up, other than to just kind of perfect the genre. The presentation is really cool. I really like the art style. It kind of reminds me of like if Earthbound took place in like a more generic fantasy setting, because a lot of the enemy types are really goofy and have like punny names. Like
Yep.
there's a platypunk, like a little rough-looking platypus. There's like a genie with a drum called the Bongo Drongo. Like everybody's got goofy names and they're very goofy character designs. And the story doesn't seem to take itself too seriously, but it so far is very generic. Like you're the chosen one, blah blah blah, prophecies, uh, meeting up with random people that become your party members. It's
Right.
very much just like like JRPGs distilled and brought into 2019. Um, and yeah, it's really fun. I like the music a lot. Uh, the art style is really nice. I can kind of see how it, it it doesn't look quite as great as like whenever I've seen like PS4 footage of it and stuff. There's definitely some like graphical limitations. It's really blurry in handheld mode. Like
Sure.
I feel like the resolution's kind of taking a dip, but I mean it's totally playable. And like I said, really like the music and the story. It's not like mind blowing or anything, but it leaves you on a little what's the word I'm looking for? What's the word I'm looking for, Keith? Leaves you
Cliffhanger?
on a cliffhanger. Cliffhanger, yeah.
Yep.
So and the full game doesn't come out for like another month, so
Right.
uh, I'm just ready for it. I'm itching to get into it, but I really enjoy it. If anyone here in the chat, Shadow Links, if you have a Switch, I believe you do.
He
Do you,
does.
Kevin? Yes, you guys should definitely. If you have any love in your heart for JRPGs, I highly recommend checking the demo out.
Kevin, do you,
Um,
does Kevin have a Switch?
yeah.
I'm kidding. I'm sorry. That was like
Okay, I was wondering.
a me and you thing, knowing he does. Just
Okay.
because I know that you spend a lot of time with him on your Switches. That was not a
Yeah, I
good
just didn't know
joke.
if you were having a massive brain fart or what.
Yeah, it's gas. It's got brain gas in here. It's getting late. Um,
Feel you.
but I think Shadowlinks, based on what you're saying, is absolutely correct. The game is enormous, and apparently the artist was the same guy who designed the characters in Chrono Trigger, which is touted as one of the most popular, um,
Yeah.
what JRPGs?
Yeah, that's the word.
Yeah,
But yeah, character design's great. The world design is really great too. Um, I like the world building that's been established so far and stuff like
sure.
that. And the accents and stuff. Everyone's like they're kind of like a mix of like some people sound kind of Irish, some people sound kind of Australian. There's a weird little dialect that a lot of the characters use that's very charming and endearing.
Mm.
So, yeah,
It's beautiful.
very
I'm so glad.
yeah. That's mostly what I've been playing the past week, and then obviously the usual suspects, Splatoon 2, here and there.
Right,
Um,
the usual
the enemy
suspects.
design is fun too. Yeah, yeah. Shadow Links. The enemy design is really fun. All the enemy types are just very goofy and whatnot, very cartoony.
Sure.
Um, the eccentric guy is interesting. Not sure what you're talking about there, Shadow
This
Links.
guy, there's this guy I thought was pretty controversial. Maybe I think maybe he is openly gay character. Maybe he was controversial. Am I wrong? Maybe you've not
Wait,
met him.
in Dragon Quest?
I feel like I heard that. I feel like I heard that there was a guy that was either openly gay or something that was controversial, not necessarily to us, but controversial to people.
I don't know. I don't. Is eccentric? Is that his name? Eccentric guy?
I don't know. Yeah, Shadowlands confirms this guy right here.
Um. Oh yeah, I didn't. I don't think he wasn't in the demo. I don't believe.
Then maybe you just haven't gotten to him yet.
Huh. Okay. But yeah. Keith, what have you been playing?
Before we leave this,
Shadowlink says it's ambiguous.
question for okay, it's ambiguous. Cool. Question for you, Will. Is that hero as powerful in Dragon Quest as he is in Smash Bros?
Not yet. Not yet.
Yeah.
Only got a few of those moves.
Okay.
No kamikaze yet, nothing like that.
I feel bummed out that I can't make myself enjoy turn-based combat, Will. I feel like I'm a person, I feel like I've been pretty negative this stream, which I feel bad for, but I can't make myself enjoy it. I can't get into turn-based combat, and maybe I haven't found the right one, maybe I haven't tried enough things, but I can't do it, and it keeps me away from games like this.
Keith, what about Dungeons and Dragons?
Dungeons and Dragons combat is the least fun part about it to me.
Okay.
The most fun part about it is I get to pretend to be an orc and I get to decide what he says and I can decide that in real time and make his decisions, and he actually lives like makes real people decisions and not ones that is made for him and stuff like that, and he wasn't programmed, he's me. That kind of thing. I like the RP of Dungeons and Dragons a whole lot. I really honestly could do without. If you told me for combat, like, roll this dice 6 times, and based on the rolls, I'll tell you whether you win or lose, and I'll describe how you did it, I'd rather do that.
Okay, fair enough. I really thought I got you with that one.
No.
But yeah, to
Sadly.
answer your question, there is something wrong with you, and it's 100% your fault that you can't enjoy Dragon Quest and the like.
Will, did you go to therapy school for that? Because that's some good stuff.
Therapy school?
Yeah, therapy school, man. Thanks,
Yeah.
Shadowlinks, for the accent comment or the compliment. I try. That's how my orcs sound in D&D. Shadowlinks, you might enjoy it. The RP is a lot of fun. If you've never played D&D and would like to be introduced, we have a 48 plus episode Dungeons and Dragons series available on iTunes, Spotify, and SoundCloud called Dungeon Boys. Actually, me and my brother Bryce just released today on the podcast versions of those, not on YouTube yet, but released on iTunes, SoundCloud, and Spotify, a recap of our whole first season of Dungeon Boys, which is really cool. I really enjoyed doing that with him. About 2.5 hours, we recap from the beginning to end, everything. Shadowlinks, I've played Pokemon before. That's turn-based. I enjoyed Pokemon, but I didn't enjoy the combat so much. I mean, I guess if you didn't, I enjoy the fact that I get to have a Pokemon that's mine.
Yeah.
But again, I don't mean to be negative. Well, I'm so glad that you found this game and that you're enjoying it.
Yeah, me too. I just wish you could enjoy it as well, Keith. Shadowlands does not seem to think that Pokemon counts. I think it counts. It definitely counts.
It's not a JRPG though. I mean, it's not like the. I mean, excuse me. That's not what I'm trying to say. It's not. Maybe it is quintessential, but when I think JRPG, I think more something like this, like Dragon Quest or Chrono Trigger, or, you build your party and stuff. Not necessarily you build your Pokemon party, which is very similar, almost the same, but I do not know.
Yeah, when you think JRPG, you normally think very story-driven, and that's not a thing that you think of with Pokemon.
That's correct.
Having a very strong story focus.
That is correct.
Keith, you want to take us home?
Yeah, let's take us home, dude. Let's talk about Dead Cells. I've been playing a little bit of Dead Cells, only whenever I've not been playing God of War for Shadowlinks' enjoyment. I've been playing a little game. Sorry, I have to keep pulling my headphones off to make sure I'm not bothering anybody in the house or I'm not missing any barks or anything like that. But Dead Cells is a roguelike Metroidvania game. What all is it? I know it's roguelike, meaning that when you die, you start over. There's no saving your progress. And it's Metroidvania because you can gain powers that allow you access further into the game. Right? Those are the two definitions. Okay, so it's both of those things. What else?
Oh, I was just going to say, and Metroidvania is to me what turn-based combat is to you.
Right, yeah, that's true. So you can rag on this a little bit if you want. It's fun. It's one of the few Metroid or not Metroidvania. I've played several of those that I have enjoyed. It's one of the few roguelites that I enjoy. Something about not having any progress and like the game is difficult. The game is not an easy game. It's meant to be extremely difficult. So whenever I die, usually that's extremely discouraging when I have to start over from the very beginning. Not a lot of fun. But this game makes it not so bad because when you start over, the world gets randomized in front of you, and the weapons in front of you get randomized a little bit. So you might pick up different weapons along the way, but also you do carry over some progression throughout the game. So if you gain the power to, there's these little areas where you can hit the right bumper, and it allows a vine to grow up for you to climb up. Once you get the vine growing once you get the vine growing power, you gain that forever. There's other powers like that throughout the game. I've only gotten I think the vine thing is the only one I've gotten actually. There's a couple more permanent things that I have gotten, but that's the only one. Because I'm not very good at this game yet. But also throughout the game, there are every time you get through an area, you meet up with this guy who takes your cells, which is the equivalent of like souls in Dark Souls or blood echoes in Bloodborne. It's cells that you pick up from enemies, and you can put those towards being able to purchase future items. So once you put like 25 cells into this new sword, the guy will drop it for you. But then I think in the future that sword will become available at pickup spots, like in random intervals. That sword may now be available to pick up. And so like if my first playthrough I only get 3 cells and I put them towards, sword A, in my next playthrough, and that sword costs 25 cells, in my next playthrough when I come back, that sword is only going to cost 22. So it does keep that progress. The progress of you unlocking these things is maintained. And so it gives you that incentive to go back in. It's not like it takes away all your unlocks and everything. Also, the farther along you go, much like Dark Souls, you have a health flask. So the first thing you're allowed to unlock is the first level of your health flask. So now you can heal yourself. That carries over. So the next time when you die the first time, when you come back, you still have that ability to heal. You can upgrade that to give yourself 2 heals from that. That carries over forever. Then you can upgrade for 3, and that carries over forever. So those kind of things are getting to those goals. It's all right. Well, right now I can make it through the first 2 levels, but I've got to buy that health thing to push me to the 3rd. Eventually, you're able to do that. Then you can push through the 3rd and through the 4th, through the 5th. I assume. I've not made it that far, but I think it's doing roguelite correctly, and it's doing Metroidvania as good as you can. I think within the confines of the roguelite thing.
Nice. How long does like a playthrough last?
Depends on how quickly you die. My first one probably lasted 5 minutes.
Okay. Have you had a successful run yet?
No, I have not beaten it. I'm not sure even what's at the end. I've only beaten one boss. So essentially there are 3. So you go through the first area, then you can either, depending upon where you end up, you either go to one area or another. Then you pass through that area, you go through one more, then you're at the first boss. And then you go through the next 2 areas. But I've never made it through the second area. I've never made it through the 5th one, is what I'm trying to say.
Okay.
I've done 1, 2, 3 boss, and then 1, and I've always died in 2 if I make it that far again. So I guess that's 4 and 5. Whew, not very good at it. Don't have a lot of practice. Don't have a ton of hours in this one, but it's a lot of fun. The dodging is fun. The combat, it looks good. Whenever you hit stuff, it breaks well, and your weapons are fun to use. There's a lot of different weapons. There's a lot of different things to make you feel pretty powerful. There's traps that you can use. There's things that if you gather them up right and you combine them correctly, you can lock a boss without for him to not be able to move, and then freeze him and hurt him and stuff. So it's a cool game. I recommend it. It's on the store right now with a DLC for like $25. You got some points saved
it's
up.
on everything, isn't it?
It's everywhere. Yeah,
Okay.
I actually, the first time I bought it was for PC when it was in early access.
Okay.
But then when it officially came out was when they had that big debacle that you reminded me of earlier.
Yeah, yeah. This game will just forever be the IGN plagiarism game to me, for better or worse.
That's reasonable.
Yeah.
Absolutely reasonable. So I guess now we need to ask Kevin and Shadowlinks what they've been playing. I know what Shadowlinks has been playing.
In Shadowlinks, you are kind of correct about Zelda being kind of like a Metroidvania. It's really just the 2D, the like side-scrolling thing that
Yeah.
I can't wrap my mind around. When I see a side-scrolling game, my brain tells me go right to left, and that's all you need to do, or go left to right, and that's all you need to do, and then I just can't. I don't
Yeah.
know.
Formula is just flat Metroidvania, really. Or if it's 3D, it's 3D Metroidvania
Hmm.
in certain ways.
Yeah,
Not to boil it down too much. Whew, man, this has been fun so far. Will, how you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. I'm a little sleepy, Keith. I'm not
I'm
gonna lie.
sleepy too. I'm
I'm not gonna lie.
considering squeezing in a God of War stream right after this, so I don't have to wake up early in the morning. I need you guys
Okay.
to let me know how you feel about that as well.
I'm probably gonna be hitting the hay.
That's
To
perfectly
be honest.
reasonable. Perfectly reasonable.
Kevin, Shadowlinks, what y'all been playing?
Tell, tell me now.
Oh man. I bet Kevin's been playing Mario Maker. I bet.
You bet? You're gonna bet? What you gonna put on that bet, Will?
Yeah,
Want to put a
I
little
bet.
money down? Want to put about $200 under your pillow down?
I've got 17 cents right here.
17 cents. You got it. I'll take that bet. Kevin
All right.
has not played a lick of Metroidvania in the or not of Mario Maker 2 in the last 3 days for 17 cents.
I could just open up my Switch real fast and see if
Crap, I've only
Kevin's.
got 12. I've only got 12 cents.
Will maybe try out Metroid Prime so you can experience the 3D Metroidvania. Yeah, I actually started it on Kevin's Wii U. He let me borrow it to play some virtual console games because I lost my Wii U, and he had Metroid Prime on there, and I started playing it, and then I just started playing Galaxy 2, and I never went back to it. But if they ever do the trilogy and like release it on Switch or something, I'm definitely gonna get it. Um, Kevin says I'm right.
Here you go,
17
Will.
cents.
I don't know if you can see this, but I've got 12.
Okay, you're gonna need to give me five more.
Okay, gotcha.
But we'll just do that next time I see you.
Yeah. Okay, that sounds good. That sounds good. Sorry about that, folks. I failed us. Absolutely failed us. Shadowlink says obviously God of War, but recently just finished Arkham Asylum and now I'm playing Arkham City. I will start Assassin's Creed Odyssey after I'm done with Arkham Knight. Very cool. Oh,
Arkham City's a
did
good
you
game.
hear? Did you hear what Shadowlinks, what can of worms Shadowlinks just popped open on this
Oh
stream?
no, he did. He did.
You just said the words Assassin's Creed Odyssey Shadowlinks. We're not going to talk about it tonight.
We can save that for the next game talk.
We can save it for the next
That can be
game
your
talk.
rant for next week.
Yeah, next week's rant is Assassin's Creed Odyssey, dude. Oh man, I got a lot to say about Assassin's Creed Odyssey. I got a lot to say for a lot of games that I haven't played. That's my MO. My modus operandi is talk about stuff that I don't know anything about. What's that? It's an Avett Brothers song. It's like we all love to talk on things we don't know about or something. That's classic.
He said,
Uh, I'll,
Shadowlinks wants a little.
I'll give you a little tease, Shadowlinks. I don't want this to hurt anybody's feelings. Maybe you love Assassin's Creed Odyssey. I don't know, but I don't. I don't like the look of it. It's not an Assassin's Creed game to me. Assassin's Creed Odyssey is. I think the title should be something else. It should be mythical. Mythical adventure game. It should be RPG with numbers that pop off your enemies that don't die after you stab them one time. Game. It's just not an Assassin's Creed game to me. I'm sure it's amazing. I've heard so many good things about it. I'm sure it's an amazing video game, but I don't think it's an Assassin's Creed game, and that's going to be the tease.
But have you played Jesus? I love it.
No, I haven't played it, and that's my problem. I've seen it. I've seen it played a few times on some streams and stuff, which was enough for me. I
Shadow
don't think
Link's holding your feet to the fire, dude. I love it.
like I say, I don't think it's a bad game. I'm certain it's a good game. I'm certain it's a game I'd probably enjoy playing. But it does
You just
not.
don't think it's a good Assassin's Creed game.
Yeah, it does not give me the feelings I associate with Assassin's Creed. Also, if you're watching this on the YouTubes, later on, you need to tune into the streams. Shadow Link speak. Don't do me like that. I opened the cover, man. I let somebody read it to me for a little while. I opened up the cover on Twitch and let somebody start reading a little bit to me. That was my thing. That was what I tried to do with it. I tried to say, maybe I have this wrong. Maybe my opinion is unfounded. But I watched a couple videos and it was enough for me to think, like, I'm not a fan of this being Assassin's Creed game, an Assassin's Creed game. Oh yeah, I know you're kidding, bud. I appreciate you being here to kid around with.
You got the summary from the back of the book.
Yeah, that's right. I did. That's what I got. That's what's wrong with me. I got the gist of it. Well, folks, I think that's going to end Game Talks Live for this week. What a blast.
Late night.
Just a cool little hour
Thanks for
and a
joining
half.
us, folks.
Yeah. Kevin.
Shadow
Links, my boys. Our boys. Our friendos. We appreciate you big time. If you guys, if you're watching this on YouTube, wherever you're at, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe or whatever. Maybe this portion's not even on YouTube. I don't know. We'll see. I didn't do it last time. But we'll see what we do next time. This show happens every week on Tuesday around 10 or 10:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We're going to try to standardize that to 10 o'clock, but we cannot guarantee it every Tuesday. I believe Will agree with me there.
Yep.
Yeah. So that's going to be it for Game Talks. Again, we appreciate everybody. Will's shouting everybody out. Shadow Links, would you prefer me to play some God of War now? Would you be into that? If that's the case, I'll just go ahead and do probably a short stream tonight. I might be able to squeeze an hour out of God of War, maybe. Or I might fall asleep in my chair and you get to see that, and then I'll show up on live stream fails on Reddit, which should actually be pretty cool. But anyway, Shadow Links, what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this stream. I'll get set up to stream God of War, and I will be back on in just a minute. Will, you are a close, wonderful friend of mine. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me, Keith.
It's your show too. I'm not trying to treat you like a guest. It's
I've always wanted to say that. Thank you for having me.
Okay, it's just as much your show as it is mine. I just have the computer tonight. All
right, you madmen, y'all have fun playing God of War.
Yep, I will be back shortly. Shadow Links, grab all your friends, and I'll see you in the stream in a moment. Everybody, again, thanks for watching. Please remember that Will and I both are hopelessly and just absolutely bound up in love for you. We love you very much.